to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Introducing from Atlantic City, New Jersey, weighing in at 210 pounds, your Italian hero, Joey Image!
Hello, how are you? Come in and sit down, relax. Welcome to episode 7 of the podcast. I'm your host, that image guy, Joey Image. How the hell are you doing? Big wrestling news day today, huh? Bunch of stuff going on. We've got a cheater at TNA Wrestling, a guy that's married, but also has a girlfriend, from what I read this afternoon on the interwebs. And apparently he is a woman beater, as he was arrested for strangling his girlfriend. That doesn't sound fun. We've got 2 racists in WWE. One of them fired. One of them cried on the Today Show this morning, looking for forgiveness from fans. And we've got a shooting at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. So it's definitely been a very eventful day in the world of professional wrestling scandals, at least. How was your day? Hope everyone had a good weekend. It's Monday night right now. It's about, it's late. But it's Monday night. I think it's the last day of August, actually, which would be the 31st. Watched Raw tonight. Thought it was a pretty good show. How did you guys do? What did you guys think about it? Did you watch it? Did you not watch it? Did you not give a shit? Let me know how you feel. Shoot me a tweet at Joey Image, or shoot me a text at 201-9. You thought I was going to give you my phone number there. It's going to take a lot more than that to get my phone, to get the number out of me. But anyway, yeah, so we've got a lot going on in the day's events. I don't really know what I want to talk about tonight, but I know last week I mentioned a couple of things I like, and I kind of plugged them a little bit. I think I want to do a little bit of that tonight. I think I want to basically just plug some things I'm a fan of that I feel more people, if you're not already aware, then more people should be aware of these things. And I'm going to try to make this not a very long episode. I don't want to bore you with basically ads or commercials for other products and services. But while I'm talking about the actual, while I'm discussing this actual show itself, let me know, again, send me a tweet at Joey Image on Twitter, or send me a message on Facebook, facebook.com/realjoeyimage. You can actually find all this stuff at thatimageguy.com, all my links. But hit that up and let me know what you want to, if you want to hear me talk about anything specific, let me know. Maybe I could do an entire episode just full of funny, wacky road stories from my 15 years in wrestling. Something about tech, I don't know, video games, board games, whatever you guys want to hear, let me know. You want to hear me shut up and not say anything at all and not do any more episodes of this podcast? Let me know that too. That's cool. I mean, anyone that tells me that I'm not going to listen to them, but, you're free to tell me. I don't back down from a criticism or anything like that, so it's okay to go ahead and tell me I suck and you don't ever want to hear me again. That's fine. You can just unsubscribe, that's all. It's simple. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to hear. I think an entire episode just about road stories would be pretty fun. Of course, there's some that will not be told ever that are private, but there's other stuff that I could talk about that I think would be hilarious. So let me know what you think about that, and we will get right on it. We, meaning I, of course, since I'm the only one that does anything with this show. I am the, I guess I'm, I don't know if do I have a title other than a host? I guess I'm the audio engineer, the producer, the host, the producer, and the audio engineer, I'm assuming. I don't know if audio engineer and sound guy are two different things, but if they are, then I'll take credit for both. But anyway, let me get right on with what I wanted to talk about today, and a couple plugs I wanted to throw out there. And again, I'm going to try to not to make these very long. Just some items, services, products, etc. that I think more people should be aware of and should definitely check out. And let me just say before I actually get into any of these items that I do not endorse anything that I don't believe in or use myself, or listen to. I mean, I got a couple podcasts here that I want to talk about, but I don't promote or endorse anything that I don't believe in myself. So I know some people will do stuff for money. That's fine, but I don't actually do that. I don't get paid for any of this. None of these plugs are from people paying me or anything like that. These are just products, services, shows I listen to that I actually use myself, so I believe in them. And the first one being Wrestle Crate. You guys have heard me talk about Wrestle Crate before, I think. Or subscribers to my YouTube channel will be familiar with my unboxing videos. I think there's 4 on there now. I just got the latest one on Saturday, which was August 29th. I think that was the 4th box for me, but I think it was the 5th box for them. The first one I didn't even know about. I don't know how I didn't hear about it, but someone tweeted me and said, "Hey, have you heard of this Wrestle Crate thing?" And I hadn't, so I went and looked into it. And I'm a big fan of these monthly subscription boxes, things like Loot Crate, Nerd Block, Horror Block, Munch Pack, Nature Box, Bark Box for dogs, stuff like that. So basically, for those that are unfamiliar with which I mean, it's 2015. I don't know how people are unfamiliar with these boxes by now. They're all the rage, as the kiddies say. But basically, you send anywhere from, I've seen ones as low as $9, and I've seen ones as high as $50 per month, or per box, I should say. I should say per box because they're not all monthly. So I'll say per box. And basically, they send you a bunch of random items in a box, all pertaining to one genre or topic or category, whatever. Like, for example, there's a Comic-Con box that deals with anything you will find at Comic-Con. There's a Marvel Core. It's called Marvel Corps box or Core box that will be anything that Marvel deals with or sells, stuff like that. There's Loot Crate, which everyone knows is a whole bunch of nerd stuff, figures and pins, buttons, stickers, patches, stuff like that. So again, the one that I recommend here, there's actually 2 I want to talk about. First of which being Wrestle Crate, and the thing about Wrestle Crate, obviously, is it's specific to professional wrestling. So those of you that know me or know of me know that I'm a professional wrestler. I've been wrestling for a little over 15 years. I am currently inactive. I retired June 20th. That was my last match, my retirement match, due to several injuries I had where I'm just way too beat up to continue. I'm still in the business. I do another podcast for a company called Ace Pro Wrestling here in New Jersey. I do some behind-the-scenes stuff also for Ace. I'm going to be working with Park Ridge Pro Wrestling also here in New Jersey coming up. So I'm still very, very active in the business. I'm just no longer an in-ring performer / wrestler. So obviously I love professional wrestling, so Wrestle Crate is right up my alley. So basically, it is a monthly subscription box just full of cool wrestling stuff. There's 2 different kinds of boxes. There's an Ultimate and a Standard. So the Ultimate is $30 plus $6 shipping, and this is a monthly box. The Standard is $15 plus $6 shipping. And they do T-shirts. So if you are any size up to extra large, those are the prices. If it's double XL or higher, then the Standard is raised from $15 to $16.50, and the Ultimate is from $30 to $31.50 for double XL or higher. But it's an extra $1.50 for a larger shirt is not that big of a deal. But basically, I really can't speak to the Standard box all that much. I can take a guess, but I get the Ultimate box, and again, this is not something that I'm paid to endorse or anything. This is just a box that I get every month, which I do pay for, and I just think it's awesome, so I just want to tell you guys about it, and I think that they should have a lot more customers than they do. But yeah, so essentially every month what I get in the box is a shirt, a figure, which can be anything from a pop vinyl figure, or a WWE or TNA figure. WWE has those Defining Moments collection. I'll get that, one of those, a pop vinyl. I believe one month I actually got one of each. I'm not sure. I don't really remember, but I thought in my second box I got one of each. But yeah, so there's that. There's a shirt again every month in the Ultimate Box. There's a DVD usually. Sometimes a buddy of mine, Kevin, got 2 DVDs a couple months ago. There's a whole bunch of other collectibles. There's autographed 8x10s. There's prints. There's fan magazines, like for example, Calling Spots is a magazine that's very popular. That's in there included. Has so much stuff. This month, if you saw my unboxing from yesterday, I believe it went live. I got a hot rod decal, like a car decal for a window. So there's just very, very cool stuff every month in these boxes if you are a wrestling fan. So if you go to WrestleCrate.com, or if you follow them on Twitter at WrestleCrates, you can learn all about it. And if you are interested, checking out the service, remember you can use the code JoeyImage, my name, one word, no spaces, and they'll give you 10% off your first month. Whichever subscription you choose, doesn't matter whether standard or the ultimate XXL size shirt or the standard XXL size shirt, you'll still get the 10% off your first month if you use the code JoeyImage. And again, if you are if you are listening to this via my YouTube channel, I will put all the information in the description below. And if you are listening to the podcast version of this via iTunes, SoundCloud, or whatever, I will put this all as well in the description version, the description box, I should say, for the podcast version itself. Again, in iTunes or SoundCloud, or even if you're listening to the 1640 network. So check that out, Wrestle Crate. Again, it's WrestleCrate.com, but the Twitter is WrestleCrates with an S at the end. Please tell them I sent you. Even if you don't subscribe and you're not interested, you don't purchase, just let them know that you heard about it on my show. Please, that helps me out a lot. And again, I'll put that all in the description. Very, very good stuff. I think the main point about Wrestle Crate, the best, I don't even know what the word is, the best perk about it, I guess, is the fact that you actually get more dollar value than you've paid for the box. So, for example, like I said, it's the Ultimate Box is what I get. It's $30 plus $6 shipping. So I pay $36 for a box, and the very first box I got had a Pro Wrestling Tees t-shirt in it, which is $20. It had an ROH DVD, which on ROHWrestling.com was $15. Had an autographed 8x10 of, I don't even remember who, I want to say maybe Abyss, which I think was also was on maybe TNA's website for $10, something like that. But regardless, there was a bunch of other items included. Like I said, there's 8x10s that are signed. There's also small prints, like almost look like drawing prints. But my first box, like I said, I paid $36, and I got close to $50. I think it was something like $48 or $49 in value if I went to each website that I could buy the items from and bought them all individually. So for $30 or $35, and I'm getting $50 worth of value, it's definitely worth it. So I would absolutely suggest you check them out if you are a wrestling fan. And again, remember to tell them Joey Image sent you. Thank you. I gotta move a little bit closer to the mic there, I think. So that's Wrestle Crate. There's another box though that I mentioned that I also wanted to talk about, and this one's called Big Ol' Box of Stuff, which is bigoldboxofstuff.com. That'll again be in the description. There's no D in old. It's just BIGOL, bigoldboxofstuff.com. These guys are freaking awesome. If you have seen my unboxing videos for them or for Custom Fan Box in the past, you would basically know they're both the same concept. The difference between the two is Custom Fan Box disappeared. Basically what happens is there's a whole list on their website. This was with Custom Fan Box. There's a whole list on the website of movies, television shows, comic books, movie, TV show, or comic characters. So the characters themselves, not necessarily the series. Stuff like that. Music, sports, whatever. And a whole bunch of different categories in a questionnaire saying, hey, please pick 3 of these that you love, and it'll say movies, and it'll say Indiana Jones series, Star Wars, Star Trek, Avengers, Age of Ultron, X-Files, X-Men, whatever. It'll have all that stuff. And you just pick 1 or 2 or 3 of those, whatever it asks you for, and they take all of that information, and again, there's movies, TVs, comics, characters, video games, a whole bunch of stuff. So they'll take all of your answers from each category, they'll put them all together, and they will load up your box with items based on those choices. Now, the problem with Custom Fan Box was they didn't pay attention to those items. They pay attention to the choices, but not the items. So there were, for example, 3 boxes in a row where I picked Star Wars off the movies list, and I got a C-3PO Pez dispenser. But I got the same one 3 months in a row. So any company or service or monthly subscription box with any kind of integrity or any kind of care for the customer's the customer's decision or wants should know that, like, hey, we sent this one last month, this item. We're not going to send another one the second month in a row, and we're certainly not going to do it 3 months in a row. But that's what Custom Fan Box did. There was that. There was other stuff where they sent stuff that had nothing to do with a couple of the choices that I picked. I think I got 3 of those boxes, and I think I only got 3. I got, I guess, March, April, and May. And then in June, they just disappeared. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't email or call any of their customers. Some people prepaid for the June box, I was told, or I saw on a couple of message boards on Facebook or forums, whatever you call them, Facebook groups, and were not given any product. What happened was Custom Fan Box just magically disappeared. They didn't tell anybody unless you actually inquired with them yourself. So what I did was email them and said, what the hell happened to you guys? I was a paying customer. I haven't heard from you since May. This was late June. Actually, this may have been early July at this point. I said, I haven't heard from you since May. However, you did take my money and send me the box, and I haven't gotten another one since. And they responded saying, we've decided to close up shop and point our business model in another direction. And I responded saying, well, it would have been nice to tell your paying customers that you no longer exist. Common sense, common courtesy, and shit customer service is what that is. So, Custom Fan Box aside, let's bring in big old box of stuff. Identical concept. They give you a whole bunch of categories, and they say, choose your favorites out of these. The big advantage Big Old Box of Stuff has over Custom Fan Box is that Big Old Box of Stuff actually gives you blank text boxes at the bottom saying, also add in 3 or 4 other things you love that had nothing to do with this category. And they'll say, like, for example, there'll be a category that says video games. Pick your favorite series of video games out of this or whatever. Pick a couple, and then underneath it'll say, give us 3 other names that weren't included on here. Or they'll say at the bottom, hey, give us 3 names of characters from movies that you like that maybe weren't mentioned earlier or don't really fit the general, theme of this box. And they still include that stuff, even if it's not something that they would normally deal with. Like, for example, they don't do a lot of, they don't do any, there's nothing on their questionnaire or their choice lists that mentions wrestling that I recall. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. So this is, and I've gotten, I think, 3 big old boxes of stuff so far. I don't even remember the third one that I filled out, but I know the first 2 did not have anything about wrestling. So I would type in, it'll say type in something that wasn't mentioned earlier that you like, and we'll see what we can do. And I type in pro wrestling or ECW or Cactus Jack. And I get WWE trading cards, which, again, they don't have listed, but because I typed it in as something that I like, they gave it to me. And the cool thing about that is that shows that they actually read what I wrote. They read not only the items of theirs that I chose, but they actually took the time to read and look into and get product for me for the text boxes, which I filled in myself. That proves terrific customer service, unlike Custom Fan Box. And I gotta say, just the stuff that they put in the boxes are cool too. So big old box of stuff puts at least like 5 or 6 or 7 items in a box. I'm gonna link my YouTube unboxing video of the latest one I got, which I believe was last week. So on my list of superheroes, I love Superman, so I choose Superman. So they sent me a 4-part series of Superman comics, and they sent me all 4 volumes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It was so awesome. I'm sorry, not Superman. Forgive me. Indiana Jones. I do love Superman, but the comics they sent me were Indiana Jones. So it was like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. And it was a 4-part miniseries of comics, and they sent all 4 parts. That is just effing awesome. Custom Fan Box would have said, do you like Indiana Jones? And would have sent me like a map of the state of Indiana, thinking that it was somehow the same. So they sent me the entire series of the Indiana Jones comics. And in the first box that I did, I got an action figure of Sala from Raiders of the Lost Ark, who was one of my favorite characters. He was the Egyptian dude that bad dates, and the snakes down there, you go down first. That guy. So I got the Sala figure, and I mentioned in my videos, like in that video in particular, like, hey, this is awesome. So my 3 favorite characters out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is one of my favorite movies, is Indiana Jones himself, obviously, Sala, and Renee Belloc, who was the heel. So I mentioned that in the video. Didn't talk to the Big Ol' Box Stuff guys since I did that video. Just signed up for the next month. And in the second box was the Renee Belloc figure, which, again, shows that not only did they watch my video, but they listened and paid attention to what I said that related to the items they had given me and items I was looking for in the future. After I did that second box, I got another one. So that was the second box I got. The third box, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I only got 2 of them. The second box not only had a Renee Belloc figure in it, had an Indiana Jones figure in it, but it was loose. So the Sala figure, the Belloc figure were both packaged, sealed, unopened. The Indiana Jones figure was loose in what looked to be just like a Ziploc bag. So I said in the video, as I opened up the Renee Belloc, or as I picked up, I don't open up my figures, but as I picked it up and realized what it was and said, whoa, this is awesome, all I need now is Indiana Jones himself. And the very next item I picked up out of the box was Indiana Jones. And I said in the video, this is really cool. I now have all 3 figures that I wanted. The only kind of crappy part is that the Indiana Jones figure is loose and not in a package, not sealed, not unopened, but I still have it, and this is very, very cool. Fast forward a couple days, I did that video, put it on YouTube, got a bunch of hits. Fast forward a couple days, I get an email from Big Ol' Box of Stuff saying, we saw your video, and we will include an Indiana Jones surprise for you in the next box. So, again, tremendous customer service, and they actually pay attention to what their customers likes, what their customers' needs are, and they take that into consideration when they put the next box together for the following month. That is something that I absolutely appreciate to no end. And if I remember correctly, Big Ol' Box Stuff is also $30. And again, just like Wrestle Crate, you're getting a much, much bigger value than you're actually paying for it. So I appreciate that. And these are 2 boxes that I can cancel every other box I get, and I would keep these 2. And right now I don't get a lot of boxes. I usually sign up for ones that are like 1 or 2 months at a time, just to kind of try them out. So, like for example, I just got this month's Loot Crate, or August Loot Crate. I haven't gotten Loot Crate in probably 2 years. I've got 8 of them, and then I canceled, and I just got August box last week, which I still have yet to do an unboxing video for, but I will in a couple days. But I got that. I got Big Ol' Box of Stuff. Wrestle Crate, as I said, I've gotten Custom Fan Box. My girlfriend got Birchbox. So I'm very familiar with the concept of monthly subscription boxes. And I will be trying Super Geek Box and My Geek Box. And there's another one, I think, just called Geek Box. But there's another few that I want to try, at least for 1 month in the future. And once I've got my new office set up, situated, shelves put in, whatever I need to do, I will be trying out definitely at least another couple boxes a month. And again, I mean, I'll stick with Wrestle Crate and big old box of stuff, but I will add on at least 2 or 3 other boxes per month, just to kind of see what I get. And I'll do unboxing of those, of course, just as I usually do for these 2 boxes I've got here. So just to recap, bigoldboxofstuff.com, BIGOLBOXOFSTUFF.com. Big old box of stuff. Awesome box. You get more value than what you paid for the box itself. Definitely recommended, and I know you'll love it. And again, tell those guys, too, that I sent you. If you go on their website when you sign up, there's a text box at the bottom. I think it says comments or questions. Say, yes, Joey Ibben sent me. Please, that will help me out a lot. All right. So, I think I'm going to take a break right now, just for a quick commercial. Not that this whole episode isn't all commercials, but I'm going to let someone else do a commercial for a change, and I'll be right back with you.
Save you from those transmission failure blues.
Avoid those transmission failure blues with Gibraltar's $9.95 tune-up special.
Yo, we're back. Yeah. Anyway, moving right along, the next thing I want to talk about, Headlocked Comic. You can find these guys on Twitter at Headlocked Comic. This is something that I want to talk about because it means a lot to me, because it very much mirrors my, I guess not necessarily mirrors my professional wrestling career, but it's very, very reality-based, so it's something that can happen, and I'm sure has happened millions of times, or at least a couple hundred times. And it's something I can relate to. Basically, Headlocked Comic is a wrestling comic created by Mike Kingston. And essentially what it is it's a story of a guy that wants to become a pro wrestler. Begins his journey, and what we hear in the book and what we read in the book is stories of kinds of trials and tribulations as well as good times along the way in his journey. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give away too much. I will say this, though. Mike Kingston created it, but there is stories in that book from Ken Anderson, from Rob Van Dam, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, Shane Helms. I mean, there is a who's who list of professional wrestling names that have contributed to this book and have a lot to do with it. The cover art is done by Jerry the King Lawler, who obviously you all know. So he does the covers, and like I said, a whole bunch of other guys, a whole host of who's who names in the wrestling business do the stories, as well as Mike himself. Of course, he's the creator. But I want people to buy this book. I want people to support it. I want people to back the Kickstarters when they come around. I want people to go to every Comic-Con you possibly can and buy Mike's book, because he is one of, and this is, again, I'm not getting paid to say any of this. This is just stuff that I use and that I believe in, Headlocked being one of them. But this comic, this book, and Mike himself, the creator, deserve your hard-earned cash, because this is this is not some book about, Ultimate Warrior in space, or The Undertaker beating up a demon or some crap like that. Like, this is actual reality-based professional wrestling comics. The reality-based part is what so many people clamor for, today's day and age in professional wrestling, that they see on TV or that they go watch in arenas or that they see on pay-per-view. So that is kind of, what you're getting in this book. Again, a guy wants to get into wrestling school, wants to become a wrestler, and this is just some of his experiences and his journey along the way. A lot of guys have a lot to do with this. I first heard of Headlocked through its Kickstarter. I don't remember how I found it exactly. I know, I think it was around the same time that this Headlocked, the first book, was on Kickstarter, that I think Nigel McGuinness's movie, The Last of McGuinness, was also on Kickstarter around the same time, or maybe a few weeks apart. but I had backed Nigel's movie, and I remember I searched. I didn't even know if this was possible or if I'd find anything, but I searched Kickstarter for wrestling, and I found Pro Wrestling Comic Headlocked, and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Let me check it out. So I read everything I could read about it, Googled it, and I found the actual website for the comic itself. And I decided this is a really, really cool project. I'm going to back this. So I made a pledge, and I did it through the Kickstarter app for my iPhone. And with the app, if you pledge for anything, and the creator of the item you're pledging for has included a Twitter user handle, it will automatically send a tweet saying, I just backed, at such and such a username on Kickstarter. You should too, or whatever, and here's the link. So it sent out an automatic tweet saying, I just backed Headlocked Comic on Kickstarter. Here's the link, blah, 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 blah. So I think the way that Mr. Kingston and I began talking was, Mr. Kingston? I don't know where the hell that came from. I just call him Mike. But I think the way that him and I started talking was that tweet, and he just responded saying, thanks a lot, appreciate the support or whatever. And I responded saying, hey man, I've been in pro wrestling for a number of years. I would love to help any way I can. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. I really think this is a cool idea, cool project, blah, blah, blah. And him and I started talking, regularly, and now we're pretty good friends. I think that was, this is 2015 now. That was maybe 2012 or 2013, I think. So Mike and I have been pretty good buddies ever since. We've actually done shows together since then. We did the Bustin' for Autism event in November of 2013 in Houston, Texas. He was at my last match, which I mentioned earlier, June 20th, 2015, in Music, Pennsylvania. He came to my last match. He had a table where he sold books. Hopefully he sold some stuff. I don't really know. I was very, very much preoccupied that night, but he was at that show as well. I did a DVD documentary documenting my retirement tour, my brief retirement tour, which Mike appeared briefly on that as well, talking about his thoughts on me and how we met and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend Headlocked Comic. Again, at Headlocked Comic on Twitter. You can find them on Facebook, Headlocked Comic. The website is, I believe, headlockedcomic.com. Actually, the cool thing about headlockedcomic.com is that when you go to the website, you can actually see the list of guest contributors, which, I mentioned earlier. Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, Ken Anderson, Rob Van Dam, Shane Helms, AJ Styles, Booker T, Jerry the King Lawler, John Morrison, formerly of WWE, currently Johnny Mundo. So there's just a very, very big cast of guest contributors, and the project itself, even without those names attached to it, it is a terrific project. Those names are not the only reason to purchase this book. Again, I bought it before I even knew who the guest contributors were, or that they even were any at all. I just bought it based on the book itself, not who had a hand in it. But, obviously that's some extra incentive. Those names will help sell books. So, again, headlockedcomic.com, at headlockedcomic on Twitter. Tell them I sent you, please. That'll help me out a lot. And it's something that I believe in and that I love, and I very, very much recommend it to all of you that are wrestling fans. Even if you're not wrestling fans, if you're just fans of a good story, check it out. It's definitely worth your time. So, moving on, I've got two more things I want to plug before I let you go. The first of which being the Trivia Geeks podcast, which you can find that on Twitter at Trivia Geeks Show. It's almost like a podcast game show. It's basically teams that do trivia, clearly. But there's intros, then they explain the rules, then they introduce the teams, and then they just go right into it. And there's different categories. There's different types of questions. The rules are very, the first time I heard it, the rules were kind of confusing to me, but if you listen to it once and then play it back and hear it a second time, it all makes sense. This one, again, is a game. It's almost like a game show, which is very cool. It's not your run-of-the-mill, like, hey, here's a podcast where I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to talk about that, basically, which is what I do. It's almost, like I said, it's like listening to a live game show as it's happening. And a pretty cool piece of business regarding that game show is that I will be on it September 8th, which is a Tuesday night, so keep on the lookout for that. I will, of course, be posting it on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere I can. As well as I will be also on date in November, which I'm not sure of that date yet. But I will, of course, be posting that as well. All over the place. There's also something going down with Trivia Geeks that I really can't talk about yet. But let's just say it's got something to do with their podcast, my podcast, Philadelphia, a live audience, and that's really all I can say. And I'm sure you can figure that all out for yourself. Dates will be announced as soon as I get them, as well as venue, location, whatever, time, and all that stuff. But again, I can't give you the full announcement right now, but I will in a couple weeks, or within a couple weeks, I should say. Not necessarily in a couple weeks, but within a couple weeks. Once everything's confirmed, and you know, I know that I'm good to go, and I've got a venue, a time, an actual date, whatever, you know, rules, anything like that, I will absolutely let you know about that. Please, again, follow me on Twitter at JoeyImage. Follow me on, or add me on Facebook at facebook.com/realjoeyimage. And you can check it out. All the news that about this event will be posted on there. You can also find me online at thatimageguy.com, which just lists all the links where you can find me. Rather than give you 7 or 8 links, I'll just give you thatimageguy.com. And before I get to the last thing I want to talk about and plug, I just want to thank you all for listening. Hopefully you've made it this far. Everything, as I said earlier, that I am recommending or talking about right now are items, you know, whatever, services, podcasts that I myself love and enjoy and think that you should too. And if you already use, you know, if you're already a customer of one of these things or a consumer or a user of one of these things that I mentioned, still spread the word. I mean, you know, all of them can always use more help. Not that any of these are items that I mentioned are doing, you know, bad, but they can always do better. You know, you can always use more listeners or more viewers or more customers or more consumers or more supporters. So again, even if you use already one of these items or all these items or whatever, spread the word, man. Help everybody out. Let's, you know, let's kind of get the word going along. Let's make this a big group, community kind of family thing and help everybody out. You know, I scratch your back and you scratch mine and not, you know, not stab mine, and everything will be good. And now, the last thing I want to talk about is the Taz Show podcast. Currently, Taz, the man, of ECW fame, of TNA fame, of WWE fame, he was the man in ECW for me. That was the guy that I watched every chance I got, was Taz, the Human Suplex Machine. Now he is Taz with the Human Podcast Machine. Right now, if you go to play.it, Taz has got a show on there. It's run by CBS Radio called the Human Podcast Machine. Awesome podcast. I've said several times, but his podcast is right now the best wrestler-hosted podcast, I think, on the market. Myself and my show included. Obviously, mine's not the best. I'm only on 7 episodes. You know, I'm not even in the running for top 100, I'm sure. But Taz's Human Podcast Machine, one of my favorite podcasts, and I'm a big podcast guy. I subscribe to something like 16, 17 podcasts. Every day I listen to at least 3 or 4 podcasts, and always listen to Taz as much as I can. I try to listen to his the day they come out because a lot of his are topical. Like, for example, last week he talked about Tough Enough. You know, SummerSlam, he does Raw reaction shows. So a lot of his stuff is timely and topical. So I try to listen to it as soon as it's released, within at least the day or day after it's released. But I want to talk a little bit about my relationship with Taz or our history and his upcoming show. Him and I actually never met in person that I can recall. We've talked on Twitter a million times for the last couple of years. We used to follow each other. He no longer follows me, but I still follow him. I still read everything he tweets. That's how I heard about his new show, was from, he was tweeting about a big announcement he was going to have coming up. And then finally, when he announced it on his show, he tweeted something like, "This is the show with the announcement I talked about, blah, blah." So I listened to it, and the announcement was that he's doing, starting September 14th, he'll be doing a daily show, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time, which is great because I'm in the Eastern Time Zone. It'll be live every day, Monday through Friday. And I am absolutely looking forward to this. Cannot wait. You can check him out on Twitter at @OfficialTaz. It's going to be a freaking amazing show. He's already does a great show now as the podcast version. But this will be live every day, 2 hours, CBS Radio, call-ins. Jim Ross will have a segment on Fridays. So it's definitely, it's morning, that time is called morning drive, because it's the morning commute. So usually for people, it's that morning commute time. So it's the morning drive, a morning show that's free and live, and includes call-ins, and includes Taz, and includes Jim Ross, and whatever other guests he wants to have. It does not get any more awesome than that. Now, there is a morning show that I currently listen to, which is called The Morning Stream, and I listen to that pretty regularly. But the cool thing is, Taz's show will be 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and the morning stream doesn't start in my time zone until 11 a.m. So that works out perfectly for me. That gives me a 2-hour break in between shows to eat, to do my DDP yoga, to sleep a little bit more if I need to, whatever the case may be. That gives me a little bit of time in between. So I'm looking forward to that. Interesting note about the relationship between myself and Taz. A lot of you know that a couple years ago, Taz opened what was called a finishing school, which is basically he finds guys he thinks have talent and or have a future in wrestling, maybe on a big stage, meaning a TV company, TNA, WWE, ROH, something like that. And he basically brings them to the school and polishes them off, gives them kind of what they need to get that last little, the last little bit of polish on them that they need to maybe be noticed or help themselves get more noticed or whatever. And I can't even explain how honored I was. And Taz, if you're listening to this, I absolutely mean this from the bottom of my heart. I cannot even explain how honored I was to be picked to be in that class. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it. I couldn't participate. At the time, I was working full-time, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. I was living on my own. I had an apartment with a roommate who was unemployed, but was getting unemployment checks. And his unemployment checks were not matching up with my paychecks. So, nor were they matching up with the rent due date. So literally every single month, I was paying an extra $150 to $200 in late fees for my rent, which means I was beyond broke. There were a lot of times where I couldn't even buy food to eat. I would go to the dollar store with $5 or $10 and buy $1 packs of ramen noodles and eat that for dinner, and I would drink water out of the tap because I couldn't afford to buy. And I'm not complaining. This is not sour grapes. I had a roof over my head. I had clothes on my back. I had a car and I had a job. It's just that the rent, with the late fees included, plus the electric bill and the rent itself, it was too much more. It was just more than I was able to afford at the time, and I stuck it out as long as I could before I had to move out and go somewhere else, and I couldn't do it. But so for that reason, the money thing, that's the main reason why I couldn't do Taz's finishing school, and the fact that I was working. It was Thursday mornings, if I remember correctly, something like it started at like 9 a.m. or something. And I was super, and it was only 6 weeks in a row, and I believe there was an optional 7th week if you wanted to go, but the class itself, I think, was finished in 6 weeks, and this was an absolute once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and not going is one. I've been in wrestling for over 15 years now. I started in December of 1999 when I first enrolled. My first match was June of 2000. So in my 15-plus years, not attending Taz's finishing school is one of only 2 regrets I have in the entire 15 years I've been in the business. And this is a big regret for me because it could have worked itself out into a lot of big opportunities for me. Even if it didn't, even if it didn't get me any opportunities, just the fact that you're learning from a guy who I am a big fan of, and could have obviously taught me a hell of a lot. It was just a huge disappointment that I wasn't able to go. And I remember even calling the school and talking to his trainer, Mike Mitchell, or the other co-trainer, I should say, strength trainer, Mike Mitchell, and saying, dude, I just want to make sure that there's no heat because I feel terrible that I was picked and I couldn't do it. And I remember Mike telling me, no heat, man. If you can't do it, you can't do it. We understand. It sucks, but you can't do it. And I remember Taz tweeting me saying, no heat from me. It's okay. But I just felt really bad, and I don't think I ever actually apologized to him for not being able to do that. Just really told him I felt bad. But yeah. So anyway, so that was the finishing school story. But back to the actual topic I wanted to talk about was the Taz show. Again, Taz show September 14th debut, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's going to be CBS Radio. It'll be live with video, I believe, too, actually. So you can watch as well as listen. And it's that morning drive time, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Jim Ross will be on Fridays. It should be a pretty badass show. If it's anything like the show he does now, the podcast he does now, it will be badass. And it will continue to be my number one favorite show, of all the wrestler hosted podcasts that I know of, including myself. So check that out. You can check him out on Twitter @OfficialTaz. I hope you all have made it this far so far. I really appreciate you all checking out my show, subscribing and downloading. Again, I am that image guy, Joey Image. You can find me on Twitter @JoeyImage. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/RealJoeyImage. And again, thatimageguy.com. Thank you very much. And you know what? Let me plug one more thing. ProWrestlingTees.com/JoeyImage. That's ProWrestlingTees.com/JoeyImage. Please buy a shirt. I really, really need the income. I really need the money. I am absolutely broke right now. So please, buy a shirt or 10. Or if you want to shoot me an email at final5dvd@gmail.com, you can buy my DVD for $15 or my Blu-ray for $20. Thanks a lot for listening. I will talk to you on my next show. I hope you all have a great week. Thanks.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, you little dudes, try and say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Vitamins!
Yay! Hulk Hogan Vitamins, the new champion of children's chewables.